Welcome viewers. Today I will discuss the concept of univariate and multivariate outliers and how we can detect the outlier data in our data set using SPSS features. Detecting outlier is one specific aspect or part of the data preparation or data screening. Like after data coding, in preparation of data, we first check the accuracy of the data entry, any possible errors in data entry. Then we check for any missing data or missing data analysis. But before doing any other statistical assumption test, it is better to detect the outliers because these outliers, if present, may even influence the findings of the test of the basic assumptions of the statistics. So let us begin with defining what is outlier. Outliers are those cases whose data values are very different from the data values for majority of the cases in the data set. So in this sense, it is a deviant case. If any case is having a data value which is different from the normative data, that is the data which is obtained or observed for most of the cases in the data set, then that is outlier. And the statistical literature generally discusses outliers in quantitative terms or statistical terms, and I will elaborate on these definitions. But sometimes in statistical terms, outliers may be considered as deviant cases with data values having or different data values from the typical range of the data values in the given data set. For example, if we are measuring height of a sample, say of 100 persons, 100 students from any university, and most of the persons are having height between 5 feet 1 inch to say 6 feet. And there is one case who is having a height of 4 feet and one case is having height of 6 feet 7 inches. Then the general range of the data value is from 5 feet 2 inches to 6 feet. And these two cases are really extreme cases, deviant cases. So such deviant cases will be considered statistical outliers. However, my personal view is that outliers may be theoretical outliers also. That is, if in our data set the obtained data values for a given case is not that which is theoretically expected based on any theory, or the data is not congruent with the theory based expectation, then we may consider this as a theoretical outlier. I am giving just one example. For example, all of us know the blood pressure, and there are two parameters of the blood pressure: the systolic blood pressure, when the heart pumps the blood to the different body organs, and the diastolic blood pressure is the blood pressure of the resting heart. And 120 by 80 is considered the average, and if it is less than 140 and the diastolic is less than 90, so from 89 to 139 is also considered the normal range. And generally we observe that if an individual's systolic blood pressure is high, then diastolic is also high. But suppose while measuring several cases, we obtained few cases that Their blood pressure, systolic blood pressure is, say, for example, in normal range, but diastolic blood pressure is very low or very high, or vice versa. Diastolic blood pressure is in normal range, but systolic blood pressure is very high or very low. Then this is atypical case. This is generally not expected, and we can consider this as a theoretical outlier. But this is my conception, so I will warn here that theoretical outliers uh, should be considered very carefully and with caution, because and there is possibility that what I am calling theoretical outlier, for example, I am taking two values, diastolic blood pressure and systolic blood pressure, and what example I have given may be considered an example of multivariate outlier. So, but there is a possibility that we expect certain range of data values based on some theory, based on some prior knowledge, and if the data is beyond that which is expected from the theory or the empirical knowledge, may be considered outlier. And this outlier will not be defined or identified statistically or mechanically. We will have to define, the researcher will have to define what consists that theoretical outlier cutoff, and if any data or any variable values pattern are different, incongruent from that which is expected by the theory, then we will consider it a theoretical outlier. Just I thought to share my idea. This notion may be correct, may not be correct, so be careful. And in this presentation, I will discuss the statistical outliers, which has been widely accepted and is practiced in daily routine of doing statistical analysis. But I thought to share my own idea also, that there is possibility that theoretical outliers may also exist. So what are outliers, whether we consider it as theoretical outliers or statistical outliers? In any case, outliers are atypical data values. So any case having atypical data value which is different from the majority of the cases, then it is outlier. And these statistical outliers may be univariate outliers or multivariate outliers. Univariate outliers, as the name suggests, is outlier for a given single variable, and it may be considered the extreme data values for a single variable obtained by a case or few cases. For instance, if a data value for a given case is beyond plus minus 3 standard score units, so around 99% of cases come, if the data is normally distributed, then around 99% cases will be in the range plus minus 3 Z scores. And if any of the case is having a score on a single variable, remember for univariate, a standard score greater than 3 or less than minus 3, then that case may be considered extreme case and outlier case. On the other hand, the multivariate outliers are cases that have unusual pattern or for a combination of variables. So as the name suggests, in multivariate outliers, we do not do multiple univariate outlier analysis. Rather, we consider all the variables together in combination, and in that combined set of variables, if any single value is not fitting in the pattern, then that unusual pattern or combination of the variable, the case with unusual pattern or combination of variable values, will be considered multivariate outlier. So it is likely that when we will analyze all the variables in the combination as univariate outliers, we may not get any univariate outlier. Even then, there is a possibility that when we take all the measures, all the variables together and their values together, then some cases may be multivariate outlier. Here, I would like to give one example. Suppose we measured the size of the head, chest, waist, hip, arms, legs, and we conducted univariate analysis the size of the legs and arms for a particular age group, say for teenagers. Then all the values when univariate outlier analysis was done was found to be in the normal range. The head size or the head circumference was not beyond plus minus 3z. It is this size which is generally found in the normal population. But say for example, when we are taking all the values together in combination and we noted the case that the measurement of the chest, waist, hip, arms, legs, compared to that, the head size is disproportionately very large. The circumference is very large. Then this is giving an unusual pattern and this may be considered a multivariate outlier. This was just a crude example to have some idea what is multivariate outlier. Basically, we examine the pattern, how the variables together are varying, co-varying with each other, and if the pattern of their variation and we identify a average pattern of variation in if any case is deviant from that average pattern, then that will be called multivariate outliers. So using some statistical technique in real life, we identify multivariate outliers. So I will in this presentation demonstrate you using SPSS how to identify these outliers, the univariate and outvariate outliers. Now, why one should detect outliers? And when we have obtained outliers, what to do? Whether to delete them or retain. So, first thing that detecting outliers is very important as their presence or their absence can change the results of our analysis. If some outlier, suppose I asked few students what is your daily pocket expense and most of them reported from rupees 10 to 50 and there are few students who reported 500 and if we are computing mean then mean will not be representing the whole data set. So that outlier will not influence only the results. Suppose we remove that outlier, then mean will be lower. Suppose there are two persons only who reported that they are expending rupees 500 per day, and rest of the participants reported between 10 to 50. Then mean will definitely be between 10 to 50 if we will remove two outliers 500. But when we are keeping those two outliers, the mean will be higher than 50. So the results are highly influenced by the presence of outliers, therefore their detection is necessary. And sometimes if outliers are present, what they indicate? They may be indicative of bad data. For example, the data might have been entered incorrectly, then we can check the possibility whether it is entered incorrectly. It may reflect or indicate measurement errors, that the measurement of that particular data value has not been done properly, or the experiment or study was not run properly and there for particular case, and therefore that particular case yielded a value which is deviant from rest of the others. In such cases, if the outlier is bad data, then generally it should be removed. But even if we rule out that there is no chance of bad data and still we found outliers, then these outliers may indicate either presence of random errors or maybe something interesting that need further exploration. We don't know why they are scoring very high or very low. Maybe there are some underlying regions behind the observed data values that need further exploration. So, in this case, when the outliers are not representing the bad data, then the decision is very important whether to keep outliers, include outliers in the analysis, or exclude. Thus, before deleting outliers, a proper rationale, a proper justification is required why we are going to delete the data. And this decision, that is inclusion or exclusion of the outlier data, depends on the reason why the case is outlier, why they are having the outlier values, and also to some extent on the purpose of analysis. So if the outlier is not bad data, then one option is we can try to accommodate outlier by using some robust statistics do not influence that are not influenced by the outliers. For example, if we are going to compute descriptive statistics or measures of central tendency, then mean is a statistics which is influenced by outlier or extreme values. But if we go for median, the median is not influenced by outliers. So in the presence of outlier, we can go for median as a measure of central tendency if it serves our purpose and there is proper justification to use that statistics. Another option is to detect before deleting. What we have to do, we will detect outliers and then we will do two analysis, whatever analysis we are doing. Say we are doing multiple regression analysis, then we will do two multiple regression analysis. One with the outliers data and other without the outliers data. And if the results are almost similar, there is no significant difference in the findings, then we may decide to keep the outliers. However, if the results are significantly changing, then it would be better to remove the outliers. And it also depends on the sample size. What is the sample size? If the sample size is small, then we can think of options about retaining outliers if it is possible. If we are having a large sample size, then a few outliers may be easily deleted and it will not influence the overall result much. And what will constitute the significant change in the results? That depends on the different analysis. So whenever I will be discussing different analysis, for example, in my previous video on multiple regression analysis, I said that if the R square is changing not more than 2%, then we can keep the outliers. So for different statistical analysis, the decision will be different and the rules will be different. Now, let us come on the procedure of detecting univariate outliers. There can be several methods and there are several methods, but the most commonly used method, the simplest method or technique is detecting outliers based on a standard score or Z scores. And standard score is the difference of the score from the mean x minus ex bar, and then this difference is divided by the standard deviation of the data set. So x minus x bar divided by SD is the standard score. So first step is to convert the raw scores into standard scores and then examine whether outliers are there or not based on the Z scores. For a smaller sample size, say 80, 90 or 100, then we can have a lower range of Z score plus minus 2.5, and if any value is beyond this, so if any case is having a score whose equivalent Z score is greater than or equal to 2.5 or less than equal to minus 2.5, then we will consider that case as outlier and we will remove it from the data if the justification for removal is there. For larger sample size, we go for a little strict criteria, and any case will be considered outlier when the associated standard score is beyond plus minus 3. So if the associated Z score is plus 3 or higher or minus 3 or lower, then that case will be considered a statistical outlier. And this is based on the assumption of normal distribution. Sometimes people also use interquartile range, and any value beyond the first and third quartile is considered outlier. But most often we go with the standard score method, and it is based on the normal probability curve distribution, normal distribution, and you know that 68% cases lie between plus minus 1 and 99.73% cases lie between minus 3 standard score to plus 3 standard score. So any individual case having a standard score lower than this is different from the majority, different from the 99% of the cases. We relax this criteria if the sample size is lower, and we choose 2.5 in between 2 and minus 3. So plus minus 2.5 is the range. Here I will try to demonstrate identifying univariate outliers using ESPSS dataset. And I am using this dataset which I have used in my previous lecture also. There are different variables. Suppose, and there are two variables, positive effect and negative effect, and we want to detect outliers, whether there are any cases having unusual deviant values from the majority of the cases. Then first step is to convert the positive effect raw scores and negative effect raw scores into Z score. So for doing that, in SPSS, we should go in the descriptive statistics. From descriptive statistics, again select the descriptives, and then I am resetting it, and then select the value of the variable of interest. We are interested in positive and negative effect for the present example. So we will transfer the variables for analysis in this box. The positive negative effect has been transferred here. Now we will check this box, save standardized values as variables, and then we will click OK. Here the usual descriptive statistics, the mean is 34 for positive effect, and for negative effect it is 21.36. But the main thing is that we should go and observe the Z value. Remember that I am using this real data from which the outliers and everything has already been removed. So I will not be able to demonstrate the outliers in this data because outliers were already removed. But I am demonstrating the procedure. So here we have obtained two scores. Z positive means standard score positive and standard score negative. So to identify that if any case is having value greater than plus minus 2.5 or plus minus 3, then we will sort. So we will right click, we will select here and right click, and then we will sort ascending. So the lower values will be at the top and the maximum value is minus 2.7. If we are going with this smaller sample size formula, and there are 53 cases in this example, then we can say that this case is outlier case. And before deciding on this, then if we are going with plus minus 2.5 criteria, just for example, I have used plus minus 3, the more stringent criteria, and this is part of the data only for demonstration purpose, not the complete data. Then this case is having a score of 17 as positive. Now observe, select this and observe the cases. All the cases are, when you will press enter, it will move down. The values are between 30, 28, 33, 34, like this, 37, 38. You see, majority of the cases are having this range of score, and that particular individual was having a score of 17. So this is really an outlier if we are going with the criteria of plus minus 2.5. This is for positive effect. We have done this for positive effect. Now for detecting the cases beyond plus 2.5, we will sort descending. Now this is having 2.2. So even if we go with the criteria of plus minus 2.5, even then this case is not outlier. So by the criteria plus minus 3, there is no outlier in this data set. But since this data set is smaller, 53 cases are there, we can go with a more relaxed criteria and 2.25, because larger the sample, the chance of normal distribution is more, and smaller the sample size, the normal distribution is less likely. Therefore we can go with plus minus 2.5, and then one case we have detected. Again I am showing, and we will have to identify that case by their ID. So this case is having ID number 20. So the 20th case is outlier if we are going with the value plus minus 2.5. Now the same thing will to have to be done. We are doing univariate, so this is not. If we are doing two Z-score computation, both are univariate outlier analysis. It should not be confused with multivariate, that we are analyzing outliers for multiple variables. Multivariate and multiple variables are different. You can go and view my lecture on what is multivariate statistics. So again, ascending. None of the value is even up to minus 2. Now again descending. So this is 2.498, still less than 2.5. So at best we can remove one variable, one case, the case number 20, the ID number 20. So here, to have this in the proper order, we will sort the ID ascending, then the case number will be in ascending order. Here is the case number 20. And you are seeing a gap because I have not taken all the data for demonstration purpose. I have taken a small data to demonstrate. So whether to retain this case or not to retain this case, suppose we are interested in doing multiple regression analysis, So I will do two regression analysis. Regression analysis, the predictors are positive, negative effect, and GHQ total is the general health questionnaire total score is indicator of the overall mental health. It is the dependent variable. And we will run the analysis. So this is the R value and this is the R square value. These are the analysis of variance results. Now we will repeat this analysis by deleting this case. So click here, this will be selected and then you can cut. So this case will be deleted. Now you go, now we are having only 52 cases. And now let us rerun the same analysis without outlier. Now compare. This is without outlier, it is explaining 57.5% variance. And when the outlier was there, it was explaining 59.7% variance. 59.7% versus 57.5%. So it is almost 2%. So I said that if the change in R square is not more than 2%, then we can keep the outlier. And if it is more than 2%, then we can remove the outlier. So let us proceed with other aspect of doing outlier analysis, that is the multivariate outlier. So we have completed the univariate part and I have demonstrated how to identify univariate outlier using SPSS. Now let us learn how to detect multivariate outliers. Again, there are different methods. Those who are using data mining, they are using a lot of algorithms for detecting outliers. But the most commonly used method is based on Mahalanobis distance, that is called D square. Mahalanobis D square may be considered the multidimensional equivalent of the univariate Z. So it is to some extent similar to Z, but it is multidimensional Z, similar to that. It is not multidimensional Z. And this Mahalanobis distance is the distance of a particular case from the centroid of the distribution. And that centroid of the distribution is like multidimensional mean. So if you are working with four variables, then the centroid will be based on the overall multidimensional mean. And it has been reported that Mahalanobis D square follows a chi-square distribution, and the DF is the number of variables that we use for doing multivariate analysis. And if the probability of the Mahalanobis D square, which is equivalent to chi-square, is less than 0.001, suppose it is 0.0001, then it will be considered outlier. But if it is 0.01, then it is greater than 0.001, then that particular case will not be considered multivariate outlier. The SPSS has one option, identify unusual cases. This also can be used to detect anomalous cases. I will demonstrate this. So I will demonstrate how to do multivariate outlier analysis based on Mahalanobis distance or D square using SPSS. So again, let us use this data and suppose this time I am using five variables. So we have positive effect, negative effect, and these are three dimensions of a construct called alexithymia: difficulty in identifying feelings, difficulty in describing feeling, and externally oriented thinking. And we want to examine the role of these five variables in predicting the overall mental health represented by GHQ total. So for multiple regression analysis, for any multivariate analysis, we cannot go for univariate outlier analysis. We will have to see whether the pattern of all the five variables, the average pattern of all the five variables, and if any case is having a different pattern or profile from this average profile, then that will be called outlier. So first thing will be that we will need to calculate, let us delete all these so that you can have fresh data. First, we will be required to calculate the Mahalanobis D square, and this can be done by using regression analysis, multiple regression analysis. So we will go in regression, and in regression we will select linear. I am resetting it. Then we will select the predictor variables of interest, those variables for which we are interested in identifying multivariate outliers. Again, I am moving it here. We are interested in positive effect, negative effect, and these are the three dimensions. So I have wrongly selected one extra variable. So these five variables we are interested in. So we will transfer it here, and then we can use any arbitrary variable as dependent variable. It is not necessary that we will use the same variable as dependent variable. Suppose I am selecting somatic, though I am interested in using GSQ total. So I will transfer this, and then I will go in the save option. And in save option, you will find different options. We will go in the distances, and there are three types of distances. We will select Mahalanobis distance and then continue, and then OK. It will create one variable. I am deleting all these from the output so that when we will do anything, new output will be there. Now look, this has created MAH underscore one variable, and you can see the label Mahalanobis distance, or you can see the label here in the variable view, Mahalanobis distance. So now we are having Mahalanobis distance, but the decision of multivariate outlier will not be based on Mahalanobis distance. Rather, it is based on the probability of this. Since D square is like chi-square distribution, then we can compute the probability of each values. For this, we will go in transform and compute variable. Again, I am resetting it. We will create MAH for Mahalanobis underscore P. This is the new variable that we are going to create that will display the associated probabilities value with each of the D square values. Then here is cumulative density function. We will select this, and in this we will select chi-square, CDF dot chi-square. This function, either double click or click this arrow pointing upwards. So this function will be moved here in the computation box. The first value will be the value of the chi-square, that is the Mahalanobis distance. So just double click it and this will go here. Now the second value is degrees of freedom, DF, and the Mahalanobis distance is having DF equal to the number of variables. How many variables we have entered in calculating Mahalanobis distance? 5 variables. 2 positive effect, negative effect, and 3 dimensions of alexithymia. So here I will type 5 and then I will press OK. It will compute a new variable, and this is the new variable having the p-values associated with each of the d square. Now to identify whether any value is greater than 0.001, we will sort it ascending. So the lower value will be on the top. This is the lowest p-value that we have obtained, and it is greater than 0.001. It is 0.03. So this analysis demonstrates that there is no multivariate outlier in this analysis. Let us delete these two. So whenever you do these things, we should delete so that the original data is retained. I also said that we can go for one option which is already there in SPSS, detecting unusual cases, identify unusual cases. Reset it. First, we will have to select the variables of interest. So we are having 5 variables. These are the 2 variables and this 3 variables from alexithymia. We will move this, and then some identifier variables should be there. How we will identify that which case is the unusual case, whose pattern is different. And to know about this, you can always press help. It will give you or lead you to the help menu. Let it load, then I am doing. In the output, we are having these options: peer group norms, anomaly indices. If any case is anomalous, then what is the anomaly index? Why the case is anomalous, the reason of occurrence by analysis, and cases processed. So in the output, we will get all these things. There are something to be saved, anomaly index, and these things can be saved also, but I am not going to save. Now tell how to handle exclude missing values from the analysis. So it will exclude the missing value from the analysis. Now come in the option. There are two options. We can fix the number of cases if we know that this much cases may be anomalous, or we can fix percentage. By default it is 5%. I am making it say 15% or say 10%. So 10% of 53 is 5 cases, around 6 cases. Identify cases with anomaly index. Here we can change the anomaly index value also. And how many peer groups? So basically it does a type of cluster analysis. It finds the groups or cluster of cases having similar pattern, and then it compares the cases with that pattern. If any case is different from the peer groups, then that is considered anomalous case. So how many peer groups? So minimum 1 and maximum 15 is the default. That is okay. Let us keep that. And maximum number of regions we can increase. So we can say take 4 regions. By default it is 1 region. By the time I think help will be available here, so you can go and read. This is this procedure is designed to quickly detect unusual cases for data auditing purpose in the exploratory data analysis step prior to any inferential data analysis. analysis. So basically, it is a type of anomalous case detection or multivariate anomaly detection. And all the options will be given here. Uh, what options, assumptions, everything we can go and read, and what is the procedure. Other links are also there. So you can go and read it. Now we have fixed all the parameters. Let us run. Okay. Now there are total 52 cases. Remember, I have deleted case number 20 because it was having univariate outlier value and I forgot to recall that data. So now rather than 53, it is having 52. And it has identified two patterns or clusters. So there is one peer group 1, ID is 1, and another peer group ID is 2. Anomaly case index list. So the case ID 10 and 42 is having anomaly index of 2.557 and 2.149. We have set the anomaly index to 2. If we will go with higher index, say if I have kept it 3, then it will say that there is no anomaly. I will repeat this analysis. Now let us, I have deliberately done this so that we can get some outputs so I can demonstrate. Now we have the peer size that is already given. So 46% cases are in peer group 2. So this 50 case ID 10 is in the peer group 2. It is an anomalous case. And this ID 42 is in peer group 1. And regions, I have asked to list 4 regions. But it has listed reason 1. Negative effect, the variable impact is this. The variable value is 31. And AI total, the impact is this. And the norm value is this. Now compare with the norm. So with the peer group norm, this is like centroid. These two values are highly different from this norm value, and therefore they are anomalous cases. Now we can see the value of all the reason 1 here. What is the frequency of this, the percentage, the minimum, maximum. Reason 2 occurrence as a reason, variable impact. So I have asked for 4 regions. 4 regions are there, but we will do most of the things by observing this anomaly index summary and the case region list, that there are 2, and the 2 important regions are that these 2 cases are having a value on negative effect and externally oriented thinking. This 42 number case is having a deviant score pattern compared to the variable norms, and therefore it is anomalous. But let us repeat this analysis with changing the cutoff to 3, that I will consider the case as anomalous if anomaly index is greater than 3. Now here you see there is a warning. The anomaly case index list, peer ID list, anomaly case region list, this. The region summary are not displayed because no anomalies are found under the specified conditions. Therefore, it depends on what parameters we are setting. But this is one way of detecting multivariate outlier that is already there in the SPSS. So let us finish this lecture, and very soon I will be coming with new lectures. So thanks a lot. In the next lecture, I would try to cover how to conduct different types of multiple regression analysis that I have already covered the theoretical part, that is the simultaneous or standard or direct or full model regression analysis, the stepwise regression analysis, that is the statistical criteria of selecting variables, and the sequential or hierarchical regression analysis. There will be different lectures on each of these with some applications. Thanks a lot. See you soon. Stay safe and happy.